Welcome to Golf Life. We're so excited to bring you out to Rain Dance National Golf Club. What a spectacular destination here in Colorado. This is one of the most dynamic courses in this state, and I can tell you I've been to most of them. And the reason that we came out here today is to work on golf course strategies in the show. We're going to work on two key areas, and we've compiled a lot of data from some key experts out there online that we put together and show you how to apply that on a real golf course. So the first that we're going to look at is we're going to look at tee box strategies for aiming your ball better, and no better golf course than this. And we're going to look at short game strategies to score better on these greens. So why Rain Dance? Well, as I said, there's really no better golf course set up to really dynamically show you aiming strategies off the tee box. And the greens were built by Fred Funk, the designer, to really use aiming targets and aiming spots, if you will, as opposed to the pins. And we're going to show you what we mean today, so stick around. Let's get it with our Golf Life team right now and get kicked off for this exciting new show.
Here at Rain Dance, we're going to show you 3 holes that require you to use the cone aiming method to score from the tee box. Hole 4, then hole 5, and hole 15.
For the purposes of this video, let's look at this graphic. I'll call it the aiming cone. We will use this concept with how to align on each hole and to aim away from trouble. Each of these holes that you see today are going to require a lot of your game, but the main thing is you have to hit driver. It's just simply a fact. And really, folks, the stats out there from experts show us that the closer we are to the green, hit that driver, get up there near the green. For amateur golfers, what really is key is the farther we are from the green, the more penalty we incur and the higher our handicap.
So what if you struggle with your driver? Or what if you have a big miss, like a slice or a hook?
Well, we all miss it, and as Mr. Hogan said, this is a game of misses, and a guy who misses the best wins. Hey, I encourage you to get instruction. That's the best way to get better, learning how to hit the ball in the middle of the club face squarely. But that's for another video. Today at Rain Dance, how do we limit our misses and mistakes with our driver off the tee? Well, the point of this section of the show comes from a book called Every Shot Counts by Mark Brody. And the key aspect there is you have to learn how to aim away from trouble on every hole. And that's the point of what we're going to teach you now.
Hole 4 here at Rain Dance is a long par 4 with trouble on the right and less trouble on the left. To get within 150 yards of the green, you must hit a drive of at least 230 yards from the blue tees.
So here on number 4 here at Rain Dance, you can see that right is dead, and this happens a lot on this course. This is why we picked this course, because it's so dramatic. So basically what I have to do is adjust the cone so that right is not even a reality, and I have to know my ball flight. If you're going to have the potential of hitting a big slice, that ball is going to be short, which brings this trouble behind me into play. So you definitely want to push that cone over there so that even if it dies right, it's going to stay in this little saddle here, and that's the way it was designed. But if I launch it left, I'm going to go all the way down the hill, and I would rather be able to find my ball over there, even if it's off in the rough or even in the heather. I'm still able to play the ball and play forward, even if I go left. So adjusting that cone is really critical. But the key point for even a guy that hits a draw is to set that cone up every time, set up on the side of the trouble on the tee box, and just take this side of the course completely away and push everything that way. Chances are I'm going to get all the way down the hill, and it's going to be a great shot.
One reference we want to make is Scott Fawcett from 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐋𝐀. Now, his research found that randomness is a part of golf. There's just no way around it, but we can account for that randomness. In other words, you could set up for the perfect shot, but you might pull the ball or hit it straight, even when you're setting up for that slice.
Here at Rain Dance National, hole number 5 is a 489-yard par 4 with trouble on the left and room on the right.
So as Kylie said, the trouble here is on the left, and if I hit a draw, I really have to think about changing my cone dramatically, right? What I can't do is just put my cone exactly on that left edge, because that is deep trouble over there. There's nothing good. So I have to probably come in about 5 yards. That means that's going to dramatically change my aiming line. And in this particular hole, I'm going to actually use an aiming line that's a tractor out there, which is interesting, and just kind of play it off that tractor with a draw that's going to end up back in the fairway. So you see that using aiming points is really critical here. And when you're hitting a draw, dead left is no good. But again, if you hit a fade, you definitely still have to play against that left. So you have to adjust. And obviously with a fade, you're going to want to play it a little bit more to the center so that you have room on the right. So it's really critical to use those aiming points out in front of you.
A point that many teachers have made in recent videos is to both avoid swinging hard and swinging soft. This will help you avoid all the trouble. A stat shows that pros use 90 to 95% of their max swing speed on all their shots. So the point for you is to stay consistent and choose the same shot speed on all of your shots.
So if we know that we want to swing at 90 to 95% of our swing speed, how do we control our distance? Well, what the pros do is use tee height. I use these Survivor tees and I love them. So this is a longer tee, and I actually have even longer ones, and I can put it right in and I know that that's my highest tee height. And what that'll allow me to do is bomb the ball a little bit more by hitting up through it. However, I'm going to get a lot more dispersion with that shot. So in this case, I certainly wouldn't use it, because if I hit a higher draw, it might turn into a hook and it's going to be on the left there. So what do I do to control that distance and also control that dispersion? I go to more of a standard tee by putting it down a little bit lower. That's going to allow me to narrow my dispersion, not hit as big of a draw or as big of a cut. And what I might even do on this hole to bring that ball down is to use a very low tee height. And what that'll let me do is basically squeeze the ball out there. You see the pros do this a lot, especially on a hole like this where I do not have any chance to go left and I don't need that much distance. I might just squeeze a nice ball down there, let it go a little bit to the right and hit it nice and low, and it's going to run all the way down the hill. So that's one way to control your distances and control your aiming cone so that you can put that ball out in that aiming cone with no concern.
Hole number 15 here at Rain Dance is a 431-yard par 4 with trouble on the left and water on the right. It's a shorter hole and only requires a 200-yard drive from the blue tees to get within 130 yards of the green.
So the other key to your tee box aiming strategies is to know when to put away the driver. Now on this golf course, as I've said, you have to hit driver most of the time. But in this case, when we put our cone out there for our aiming cone, we notice that we have problems on the right with the water and on the left with the trouble over there. So what do we do here? Well, in this case, obviously from the white tees, you're only 431. So we can hit a 5-wood or a 3-wood and get us within 150 yards of the green to score. So really that's the main strategy, but we still have to use our aiming cone here. Now for me, again, I hit a draw. So I'm going to set that cone right here and draw and turn over for me so I can comfortably kind of push it a little bit against that water. Not too much though. However, if you hit a fade or a slice, you're gonna have to aim left here, even with the 3-wood or the 5-wood, and you're just gonna have to take your chances with what you got up there on the left, because it's obviously a lot better than hitting in the water. So this is really where you still use your cone, but take that driver out of play. So the point of all this aiming cone strategy is to cut down on the misses. So tee it high if you don't have a lot of problems on the right or left. Set your cone up so you can bomb that ball. But as we have more trouble, tee it lower. Remember, keep your swing speed at the same swing speed and tee it really low if you really want to just hit that squeeze, little low cut out there, and really keep that dispersion pattern a lot tighter.